Well, we're delighted to be launching our new magazine show, our Scottish Rugby magazine show, which will be available on the Scottish Rugby website and on our dedicated Scottish Rugby YouTube channel. Again, it's a development that shows that we're keen to engage with our supporters as best as we possibly can, and to highlight and to show off some of the fantastic things that are happening across the breadth of the country, from the pro team activity in Glasgow and Edinburgh, all the way through to the club scene in the P1 activity and the grassroots game, and then supplemented when the national team comes to Murrayfield here for the autumn tests and the Six Nations. So it's a real wrap-up magazine show of all things Scottish Rugby. We're absolutely delighted that the hosts of the programme are our own Jim Mason. Jim joins us from the BBC, where he now takes up his new role at Scottish Rugby, leading in all our broadcasting matters, and Chris Pattison, Scotland's famous kicker, and now Scottish Rugby ambassador. So we're delighted to have Jim and Chris heading off around the four corners of the country, finding out all the stories and getting under the skin of rugby in Scotland. Jim and Chris, I know, have already been on their travels in the last few weeks, and it's clear to see there's lots of great rugby activity happening. And for us, we want to film that and put it up onto the website and up onto the YouTube channel and get as many people excited about rugby and the stories that are happening out there. So we've got the launch issue of the Scottish Rugby magazine show coming up, and there's three exciting new parts to that show. Firstly, we have a set of posts, the famous Murrayfield posts that have left Murrayfield and headed their way to the far north up to Caithness, where they were placed in the ground just last week. So Chris and Jim have been up filming in Wick and Thurso, so we look forward to seeing that in the magazine. Secondly, Richard Chesser, our Scottish Rugby nutritionist, will be demonstrating the importance of getting a good coffee, and perhaps how coffee can supplement your week's diet ahead of a rugby game. So there's some fun discussion around cappuccinos and espressos from Richard. And I guess the third thing for us is exposing and talking about the exciting things that are happening this week in Scottish Rugby, with pro teams games coming up, with the Premiership already underway, and the various leagues across Scottish Rugby in action. So lots of things to talk about, lots of things to look at. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from our supporters, and we'd love to hear from those that are taking part in the game in Scotland about the stories that are interesting to them. And we'll ask Jim and we'll ask Chris to get out there and find out a bit more about them.